And by the way, a shockingly large number of them have been prescribed psychotropic drugs by their...
Now, this one is really popular online. I've noticed a lot of conservatives are going after psychotropic drugs. They keep saying that they're referring to SSRIs, you know, Prozac, stuff that is given to people for depression. So the idea being that this is a mental health crisis, not one we want to address, not one we want to acknowledge, not one we want to try and better, especially when it comes to toxic masculinity, you know, at the forefront of all this. We want to blame the drugs themselves, maybe the overprescription of the drugs, and that's what's causing the shootings. Okay, so there's a lot of strange coming out of the US right now, and I don't know what to say other than, are you okay? I know the answer is no. God damn.
Now, here's what I have to say. I mean, 2 shootings on July 4th, one in a rich white neighborhood and the other at a fireworks display. It almost sounds like it's designed to persuade Republicans to go along with more gun control. I mean, after all, remember, we didn't see that happen at all the pride parades in the month of June, but as soon as we hit MAGA month, as soon as we hit the month that we're all celebrating, loving our country, we have shootings on July 4th. I mean...
So, the quiet part out loud. White neighborhood. Not the queers. You know, the gays have not been targeted. The straights, on the other hand, and the whites, on the other hand, yeah, they're getting shut up. So, big problem.
That's...
Her mic is pointing the wrong way. True. That's for you. You know what? She's more dedicated to her chat than I am. I'm like pointing my mic towards me. I should be like this. There you go. All right, go nuts, chat. Have a time. How are y'all doing? Now I can finally hear you. This is great. What a stream. The epic.
Oh, you know, that would sound like a conspiracy theory, right? Of course. But what's the definition of a right-wing conspiracy theory? Well, by the way, it's the news that's just 6 months early. Now, here's what I have to say. I mean, 2 shootings.
My God. This is wild. It's like, it's 100% Alex Jones levels of just batshittery, right? Excuse me, I gotta adjust my mic. I've been sharing it too much. But, okay, so, this didn't happen during Pride, so they didn't go after the gays, and on top of which, they were in a rich white neighborhood. Kind of speaks to a possible conspiracy theory. I don't know. I don't know if it's a false flag. I don't know if it's trying to instigate people. I don't know if this individual who did the shooting was paid off by Big Democrat in order to get stronger gun control. Which is strange because nothing will happen ultimately, you know? Like, why would the Democrats do anything now? They already have we did the whole reach across the aisle, you know, partisan bill. Why do we need more? It's good. We have gun control now. Pretty wild. That wasn't the weirdest one, though. The weirdest one was on mainstream television.
Look at... Would you sell a gun to that guy? Does he seem like a nutcase? Of course he does. So why didn't anyone raise an alarm? Well, maybe because he didn't stand out. Maybe because there are a lot of young men in America who suddenly look and act a lot like this guy. It's not an attack, it's just true. Like they inhabit a solitary fantasy world of social media, porn, and video games. They're high on government-endorsed weed. Smoke some more, it's good for you.
Social media, porn, video games, weed. That's the cause, you know? What's weird is the very start of this, he's like, would you sell a gun to this person?
That. Look at... Would you sell a gun to that guy? Does he seem like a nutcase? Of course he does.
So he's trying to associate, I guess, basically being either a stoner or someone who masturbates to porn or someone who plays video games. By the way, going after gamers, dangerous, Tucker Carlson. You're going to alienate a huge part of your base. But anyways, going after that demographic and saying specifically that these people, you know, the basement-dwelling young kids they're the problem. You shouldn't sell guns to them. Should we have anything in place to be able to screen someone who has multiple red flags to find out whether or not they should actually have the ability to own a firearm that could be used to cause a lot of damage? Well, no. No, we're not going to do that one. But we are going to say, look, just look at this person. Clearly, someone shouldn't have sold a gun to them. Is that how it works? Like, do you walk into a gun store in America and the gun owner is going to be like, well, I mean, based on my reading of your, personality, the looks, I can tell you probably play video games. You might be high on the reefer, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to sell you a gun. I can't do it. No. We have checks and balances in place.
Why didn't anyone raise an alarm? Well, maybe because he didn't stand out. Maybe because there are a lot of young men in America who suddenly look and act a lot like this guy. It's not an attack, it's just true. Like they inhabit a solitary fantasy world of social media, porn, and video games. They're high on government-endorsed weed. Smoke some more, it's good for you. They're numbed by the endless psychotropic drugs that are handed out at every school in the country by crackpots posing as counselors. And of course, they're angry. They know that their lives will not be better than their parents. They'll be worse. That's all but guaranteed. They know that. They're not that stupid. And yet the authorities in their lives, mostly women, never stops lecturing them about their so-called...
Women. Women are the other problem. I mean, I already mentioned the porn, the weed, the video games. But also ladies. Ladies, you're the cause. And you know why?
Privilege. You're male. You're privileged. Imagine that. Try to imagine an unhealthier, unhappier life than that. So a lot of young men in America...
Okay, so here's how it works. Basically, young men in America, they are lectured by the ladies about their privilege, and then they turn to the porn, the video games, the weed. They get radicalized by the porn, the video games, the weed, and then they commit acts of violence, atrocious violence. That's how it works.
America are going nuts. Are you surprised? And by the way, a shockingly large number of them have been prescribed psychotropic drugs by their...
Now, this one is really popular online. I've noticed a lot of conservatives are going after psychotropic drugs. They keep saying that they're referring to SSRIs, Prozac, stuff that is given to people for depression. So the idea being that this is a mental health crisis, not one we want to address, not one we want to acknowledge, not one we want to try and better, especially when it comes to toxic masculinity, at the forefront of all this. We want to blame the drugs themselves, maybe the overprescription of the drugs, and that's what's causing the shootings. The wild thing about all this is that there's a lot of other countries. Those countries have equal numbers of people who have depression, equal numbers of people who are on SSRIs, equal numbers of people who watch porn, smoke weed, all that stuff, and do not have the same amount of shootings. What's the difference? It's guns. It's guns. Now, there's a lot of shit going on. Don't get me wrong. There is a huge problem with social media. We're all addicted to it. Look at Jordan Peterson. He's tried to walk away so many times. He can't. He can't. For the life of him, he cannot walk away. He's tried. And yet, it beckons him. It calls, you are the one true mother. So we're all addicted. And the algorithms definitely promote incendiary content all the time. And that's what rises up. I understand that. It is not healthy. It's damaging. And it is certainly something we need to talk about. That is really bad. Perpetuity of toxic masculinity, something we need to talk about. The hatred of women, that's not the one the right will bring up, but that is something we definitely need to talk about, and that is being perpetuated by the entire manosphere, the Fresh and Fit podcast, all that kind of stuff, continuously talking about how women are the enemy, women are bad, women are, and he's doing it right now. He's like, feminists who are basically telling you that you have some kind of privilege. I've said before that the messaging obviously has been very catastrophic on the behalf of the liberals when they've been trying to push this idea of trying to teach people about ideas of white privilege, male privilege, patriarchy, stuff like that. The messaging has been catastrophic, and they have gone about it in a very bad way. That's very different from these things not being real. And these things not being actual, topics that we should actually try to educate people on, all that kind of stuff. But to blame women, of all things, this seems so odd, because this is when you look at all these mass shootings, there's usually a very strong corollary, and it is a hatred and or disrespect towards women. That one tracks on a lot of these. I don't know. It's very, very foolish.
doctors, SSRIs, or antidepressants. And that would include quite a few mass shooters. And keep it that. Look at...
Ugh, ridiculous.
He is standing up for a principle. And it is, I would argue, the same principle that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was talking about in that cold open that we showed you. That the principle of free speech, your ability to say what you think without being pushed to the margins of society, as long as you're not breaking the laws. What did Martin Luther King say in that cold open? I want this thing to be what's on the paper. What's on the paper? If it wasn't on the paper, if the defense of free speech, if the First Amendment wasn't there and the right to assemble and share your thoughts and protest, if it all wasn't on the papers, maybe we'd be having a complete other conversation. But in this country, this 246-year-old country, it's on the paper that you can share your thoughts. So Jordan is drawing the line in the sand. Jordan reiterated to me yesterday that he is not going to delete that tweet and he will not come back on Twitter. I will, in full transparency, tell you that I did delete the tweet. Now, it was not because I was acknowledging that I did anything wrong. I deleted the tweet because Twitter said that if I delete the tweet, I would have access to my direct messages. These are the personal messages that I can send people. Now, I have no doubt that the woke whack jobs at Twitter are reading my direct messages and reading everyone else's direct messages too.
Of course.
I wanted access to those direct messages so I could get word out that I had been suspended, and thus that's exactly what happened yesterday. And Ellen Page was the #1 trend on Twitter most of the day with my name. Ellen, and then of course Twitter issued a statement that they shouldn't have allowed Ellen Page name to trend because that's dead naming her. I mean, the whole thing is so stupid. The whole thing is so profoundly stupid. Everything.
That's the first part I agree with. It is. And y'all won't stop. It's this entire like, this is my calling. I have to do this. This is my cross to bear.
By the way, that the woke touch becomes profoundly stupid.
The woke touch. Beware the woke touch.
And finally, did you see this story? It definitely was. It made me say, wait, what? China's National Space Administration may be planning a takeover of the moon as part of its military space program. According to our NASA administrator, Bill Nelson, he acknowledged that the American Space Administration has, in fact, been very concerned about China's landing on the moon and its agenda of hacking the moon, hijacking the moon, hijacking the moon. China, sheesh, you could gluttonous swine. You want everything. First our technology, next our meat processors. Now you want our moon. Our moon? I said it. We were there first. We planted our flag, our moon. We'll gladly ring.
This is not a sketch. This is not SNL. This is a real Newsmax fucking segment.
Use some space for all your damn factories. Hell, you probably own our moon jet in a few years anyway.
No, this is real. This is real. And like, I have a hard time convincing myself that it's real. Like when I see this, I was like, oh, that's a funny SNL sketch. No, SNL is not back. It's not good again. This is just real life. I don't know what the fuck is going on. America. I love you. I love you. Please, what is happening? What is happening right now?
Right. And finally, did you see
our moon? Yeah, I'll say it. We were fucking there first. Well, I mean, fair dues, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, like, hasn't been a big, claim of the moon lately. Is that what the future wars will be? Is it going to be China versus America, the Space Force versus whatever Xi Jinping puts together, and then they're just going to battle on the moon? You know what? That would actually be ideal. I would love if all warfare took place on the moon, far away from all of us. You can do all you want, just don't nuke it so much that it like fucks up the oceans or anything like that, but just go fight on the moon. All of you, all you fucking warmongers, all the warhawks, go have fun, play with your toys, boys, play with your toys on the moon. All right, go have fun. That's it. I don't want it here. Take it away. By the way, there's so many of these. I was just scrolling through like Twitter, and I was like, I can't wait to show Chad all these.
My, how quickly we've made the jump from eat less meat to eat fake processed meat to eat bugs. But that's just what liberals do. I tell you though, I really can't see George Soros eating a roach burger, or Bill Gates eating scorpion tacos, or Nancy Pelosi eating grasshopper pie made with real grasshoppers. No, that's just for you and me. In 1973, Charlton Heston starred in the movie Soylent Green.
I figured this out yesterday, okay? I'm ahead of you, Newsmax.
which takes place.
Actually, I didn't figure it out. That was a huge lie. I was just watching the trailer, and all of a sudden it was like in the year 2022, and I was like, whoa, does anyone know about this? And then on Twitter, everyone knows about this. So yeah, it wasn't that I figured it out. It's that I found out that everyone else knows. That's what it is.
By the way,
yeah, I'm not the faster meter.
Oh, the irony in 2022, and it's about an environmentally ravaged world in which most people are starving. They live on a government-issued food supply called Soylent Green. And of course, the elites don't eat Soylent Green. That's just for the average people, you and me. And if you haven't seen the movie, here's a spoiler alert.
You tell everybody. Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell them Soylent Green is people!
Wow. I can tell this was like, a pretty important part of his childhood. And right now he's like, you didn't listen. You fuckers. You didn't listen.
We gotta stop them somehow.
Soylent Green is people. That's right. Heston discovers that Soylent Green is made from the bodies of the recently deceased. Is it that far beyond the realm of possibilities in the liberal New World Order? I'm starting to think not. We're one step shy of that. Let them eat bugs.
Now, the whole let them eat bugs thing has kind of been really prominent in conservative circles. That's basically been the pushback against, like, well, we're not allowed to eat cows. Apparently, the liberals want to take away your meat. The liberals want to take away your cows. Yeah, and they want you to eat bugs instead. That's going to be the substitute for vache. The actual thing that's going down is there is a movement towards alternatives to meat. You already have on the market Impossible Burgers, Beyond Burgers, that kind of stuff. But the next phase is going to be lab-grown meat, and apparently tastes just like meat, but is way less wasteful and doesn't have sentience and doesn't require mass, slaughter, and also horrifying conditions for animals. So, I mean, in theory, it sounds good. It sounds better, I should say, than what already is in place. But the idea of us just eating worms, I don't know. I haven't really seen that being pushed in mainstream, Maybe we should bring back the clown meat. What was the clown meat?
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Egbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.